Everyone, it's Anthony Ramos. HBO Max is four-part series, Equal, documents the early LGBTQ trailblazers of the movement. The series is made up of archival footage, some never seen before, and reenactments played by some incredible queer actors. Today, I'm joined by 5 of those actors and the directors. So everyone, please say hello to Jay Rodriguez, Scott Turner Schofield, Isis King, Theo Germaine, Anthony Rapp, Stephen Kijak, and I believe Kimberly Reed will be joining us soon. How is everyone doing?
Very well, thank you.
We're good.
Before we get started, I think we should acknowledge the passing of Monica Roberts, who obviously such an incredible advocate in the trans community. You know, we recently just lost her, so just wanted to, take a minute for that. Let's start, like so many icons here, I don't even know where to begin. Isis, I'm gonna start with you. So your character, Alexis, is really a composite of different people from the 1966 Compton cafeteria riot. For you, who is someone who is as talented of an actress as you are an advocate, what was it like to go back into that time?
I think it's interesting. I was saying in an interview earlier, unfortunately, we should really take this as an example of where we don't want to be again. And because of the current state of our country, it's important to see that trans rights the current president is trying to take away our trans rights. And this is where they were. People were tired of just staying quiet. So they had to speak up. So for me, during this project in March, week after week, you see another Black trans woman get murdered. So it was really overwhelming. And the character Alexis was tired. All of the trans and queer community was tired. So throughout filming it, the character got progressively more frustrated and angry. And that felt like a good release because I think that's where we were. And throughout this year, it's been even more like that.
I mean, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Jay, you portray Jose Sarria, who was many fabulous things, but he actually was the first openly gay person to run for public office. So I think, in this moment of change that we're in with politics and racial injustice, what was it like for you to play someone, like Jose?
Yeah, thanks. I've spent a bunch of time in San Francisco doing some charity concerts for the Richmond Urban Aid Foundation. There's always folks from the legendary Imperial Court, of which Jose established. So I had a kind of a window into his world and his legacy before playing this role, which was great. But just to know that at a time where it was far more risky and dangerous to speak out, that there were these incredible icons that stared in the face of danger and out loud and proud, not only just use like their platform. In my instance, it happened to be at his bar. He would basically perform and also allow the performance to be very political and call things out as they were. And, it was a blessing to have so much of it on YouTube, so many past videos and audio, and be able to talk to his friends. It was overwhelming because you just sit aware of the great folks who sacrificed so much so that we could have, an ounce of the rights that we really are still hoping to get full equality. But to know that our history goes deep, it's great. It was a great, powerful moment that'll stay with me forever.
And Kimberly has joined. Thank you. There's Kimberly. Hello. Scott, I want to go over to you. You play Craig Rodwell, obviously the amazing activist. For you, as an actor, do you feel that as queer people that are actors also have this responsibility to use their platform to be an activist? Because you do both so well and it becomes one. So I would just love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, as much as I would like to say yes, at the same time, not everybody's cut out for it, and it all matters. It all helps. I work with, for instance, Hunter Schafer on Euphoria as a consultant, which is a wonderful melding of activism, media activism, representation activism, and knowing how to act and supporting another actor. And during the first season, she said, I don't want to have to be an activist for this. I want to be an artist. And I said, yeah, that's what we've all been working for, right? And I think so much of what the activists that we're portraying in this series have done is lay this groundwork for us just to be the whatever, fill in the blank, the artist, the doctor, the person that, we all have the right to be.
I like that answer.
Yes, thank you so much. Theo, hello. Jack Star, Enigma, a lot.
Yes.
So many things that are known, that are not known. Tell me about that portrayal, because it's fantastic.
At first, when I got an audition for that character, because I'm a nerd, I went online and tried to figure out who Jack Star was, and I couldn't find any information on him at all. But what I did find was a different queer figure who went by the name Jack Star, who might have been a trans feminine person if they were alive today. And so I was like, I think that there was a misunderstanding, like I shouldn't audition for this. And I sent a tape in for Craig Rodwell because I was like, that's cool. And then when Scott got cast, I was like, yay! I think I still have my tape from sending it in.
I auditioned for Jack Star. And then
that's so funny. Oh my God. That's so cool. Yeah, but Jack Star is someone who still I just know as much as I know about him because of this project, and everything that I know through the news clippings and through the conversations with Kim, he's just this person who I kind of feel really connected to, because he just has this I feel like I can very easily envision him, a long time ago in the spaces that he was in the West, doing crime, getting arrested for cross-dressing. He was a total rebel. And I think that I sometimes forget about, how much of how rebellious older or previous generations of queer people are, because things are so different now that it's 2020. He's someone who I want to keep doing research on, and I want to find more people like him, So it was really fun to play him, and he was just this young, this young, manic, puppy energy, sort of rip roaring, I do what I want, thing, and he's really cool. I wish I could have met him.
I think that's so interesting to hear that, back then, when you really think about it, we were considered rebels. So we just transition and live our life, and we're just trying to survive out here. But to many people, we're rebels. That's badass.
Absolutely. Speaking of badass, Anthony, let's go to you. Harry Hay is who you play. Founder of the Manichean Society. What did playing this and getting into this mindset and really being transformed back to a time when being gay was not okay, what kind of emotions did that bring up for you, with your own journey to coming out and, self-acceptance?
Well, one of the things that that came up in an interview earlier is that one of the things that really propelled me to come out publicly was being around Larry Kramer. But Harry Hay didn't have somebody like that. So it's that much more remarkable that he took it upon himself to forge that territory. There was no one doing what he was doing. So to have the wherewithal, and if we believe the apocryphal story that he sat in the middle of the night sweating over his typewriter, that makes sense. That he was just infused with this drive to do something, to shake things up. But it was all born from the fire in his own soul. And that's pretty remarkable in and of itself, that he had that vision. So it was really inspiring. And it's just a reminder, we've made so much progress since then, for sure. We still need to make a lot more progress, but things were so much worse 70 years ago.
Just thinking about that, how things are better, but we still have a lot more to go. It's LGBTQ History Month. Could not be a better time to be having these conversations and to be honoring those who came before us. Stephen and Kimberly, the two directors of this amazing 4-part series on HBO Max. For the two of you, why is it so important that these people and their legacy live on and people still remember, what they went through and what they accomplished? Why is it so important for you to, honor them and tell these stories?
Kim?
Well,
Kim, you start.
yes, some folks have kind of hinted on it so far. I think, what we have are the stories of a lot of people who were doing whatever they could to push the movement forward without even knowing there was a movement there sometimes. I mean, as Isis was saying, just going out there for trans folks and living your everyday life in the 20s and 30s and 40s was enough of an accomplishment, right? And this is in the midst of being completely misgendered in the press, sensationalized in the press, all sorts of, misperceptions about who these people are. On top of all of that, it's illegal. So I think that one of the things that inspired me in telling this was to take the stories of people like Jack Starr, who Theo plays, or Alexis, who's this narrator of this section that we have on Compton's Cafeteria Riot that ISIS plays, and lifting up these anonymous activists who were really pushing the ball forward with the movement. I just realized this morning that Amy Coney Barrett is going to be nominated officially on October 22nd. That's the day that we premiere on HBO. The fight never ends, right? I mean, we're taking 2 steps forward, but this is going to be 1 step back.
That's a shocking coincidence. But that is essentially it. I mean, like what Kim said, like we have the unsung heroes. Some names in the show are heroes. Some even of other movements like Lorraine Hansberry and Bayard Rustin, not even really in the early days associated with the gay rights movement. But again, just by being gay people at the forefront of social change, they have taught us all a lot of really valuable lessons. And what we wanted to make sure that we did was to push that militancy, the anger, the rebellion, and the riot to the forefront and leave people with this sense of like a call to arms. We would occasionally get asked, ooh, tone it down. And thank God we got Billy Porter in the mix. He was like, tone it down. Are you kidding me? Turn it up. I mean, we have to keep marching and fighting and being loud about ourselves and our visibility and just continue to push back against everything. Because like we're right back where we started in some respects. We're miles ahead, but it's like there are still fights to be fought on every front. So we wanted it to be, inspiring, emotional, but more than anything, we wanted it to be something where we could have a range of, examples for everybody to follow in the days, months, and years ahead. No matter what happens with the election, we still have to keep pushing. So
absolutely, I know it's like watching the series and seeing the archival footage with the protests, and there's so many parallels to what's happening right now. It's crazy to see. I'm just going to open it up for anyone. Kind of wrapping this up. What are we hopeful for moving forward? As we looked back, with this series, we looked back so many amazing trailblazers moments that we need to honor and celebrate. What are we hopeful for? What do we want to happen? I know that's a very open-ended question, but if anyone, feel free to jump in.
I mean, people like Theo, there's a couple actors I'm working with on Star Trek Discovery, a non-binary actor named Blue Del Barrio and a trans actor named Ian Alexander. The young trans people are giving me so much hope for being so bold, unapologetic, fearless, insisting on being who they are, and willing to, I understand the thing that it's not up to them to educate in a certain respect. They don't have to do the emotional labor and yet I'm witnessing them being so willing to take that time and make that effort to educate people, and it's making such a huge difference. Like that gives me a tremendous amount of hope.
I also I also can say that in the reverse, there's this thing happening where all the other actors who are on this panel are people who I have been very inspired by as early as when I first started coming out. And it feels like there is a history that is being made as this show is coming out, because I know that I'm sure that other actors who are more in my position in regards to age are probably experiencing that, you know, as well. And it's like, it just feels like there's this really special thing happening between all of the performers and everyone involved in the show. And I feel hopeful that it just like, that feeling will resonate with the public, you know, and will resonate with, you know, generations that are, you know, different.
Well, I mean, just for the sheer fact that we have this cast, I mean, it's mind-boggling. Like in front of the camera, you know, legends, newcomers, just, you know, some of the most beloved queer performers we have today. I mean, it's a totally queer cast. We have a trans DP, sound person, like the crew. Yeah, amazing stuff. I mean, yeah, obviously with Pose and look at Boys in the Band. I mean, these you know, shows and series that we now have that you can look from top to bottom and you've got just like queer people out front and proud and, you know, really visible. For Kim and I mean, it's a dream come true, you know? I mean, all the energy in this show that is, it's just unbelievable and a real privilege to work with you all. So thank you for, you know, and everyone, you know, you're in for like a day, like they're short little monologues that were just in and out, but like it created such a beautiful range of queer life and history. We're really, really proud of it. So.
I just want to say about what I hope people will learn from this or take away. What my hope is that so much of the messaging that even Isis touched upon this, that our characters were shouting and pleading for and fighting for back then is so relevant now. And for people who may not have had such an in-depth queer history lesson in their lives, it's like you're getting just a little spoonful of it here, but it's enough to, I think, to excite this generation to find out their history, to find out whose shoulders we stand on, and hopefully that inspires them, you know, from within to have us even a more stronger sense of pride and to want to get active and to live their truth and to be inspired to know that we are this great nexus. I mean, this is a huge honor. You know, like Theo, I was like looking at who was in the cast and I remember just being so overwhelmed because it's just, there's so much love, you know, and respect for the there's so many trailblazers in this. I mean, I was sharing with Anthony offline that he was the first queer person I ever heard self-identify as queer. And this was, I think, an interview he did for Rent. And then like a year later, I'm doing the show. And it was like just a really empowering thing. And that word, the word queer, to kind of repurpose it from how I remembered it in high school to suddenly, you know, have a life where that's how I identify. And it's beautiful. And I'm just hoping that people are inspired and that inspiration will cause change.
Yeah, like in the same way. So Craig Rodwell like directly impacted my life. When I was a young, like a teenager, I went to New York for an internship and I knew enough to go to the Oscar Wilde bookstore. I knew I would find other people like me there. I went there, a bisexual woman gave me a job. I went looking for a job, like a paying job. And she was like, we're not hiring at the bookstore, but I'll give you a job. And I rode a little scooter around the East Village, handing out postcards for a lesbian party, Meow Mix party, right? And I was underage. Don't ask me how I got in there, but I got in there.
It was New York.
There, right? I got in there, and that's where I met the first guy that I knew to be trans, and that kicked off my transition. Wow. So, you know, I just the legacy, you know, we're living a legacy, we're sharing, we're representing a legacy, and I just hope that people get from this that the decisions that you make in your life now, whatever they may be, whether they're personal to you or whether they're big and political out there, they're going to have an impact down the line, and let it be good, you know?
Yes, God.
I love
yeah, and I would definitely say, echo what Stephen was saying about this being a real honor to work with all of you trailblazers. And I think, you know, what we tried to do the whole way through is to not about us without us, you know, to put this queer history in the words of all of these queer actors And I hope that it continues to inspire future generations. And I just kind of want to toss it back to Isis and Theo too, because what I saw happening on set that was so cool to be a part of is to watch these actors come in and to connect really strongly emotionally to these characters whose story they probably hadn't even heard of before. And in a lot of ways that made our jobs as directors a lot easier, because you could just sort of step out the way and let them connect to these amazing trailblazers.
Any final thoughts from anyone?
Vote. I said in an interview earlier, so many people have the privilege now to be accepted by family and come out, transition, use the bathroom they want to use. And a lot of times they don't really care about what's going on before them, or kind of have tunnel vision and don't really pay attention. So it's really important. I think Theo touched on it too. It's just really important to see and to just remember what happened before you, and also what's happening in the future, and why it's vital for you to get involved, no matter to what capacity, because speaking up on a microphone might not be for everybody, you know, but maybe just doing it in your local community, or maybe just stopping your family when they say the wrong things. Like, you never know to what capacity, but we all have to get involved. And even within privilege that some people have, you have to like just wake up and say that I have to get more involved. I need to be more active. I don't want what's happening in Equal to happen again. I need to use this as motivation to continue to work hard, to live a positive life, and to make a difference.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hello.
All of that.
Yes.
All of
that.
Well, everyone, first off, thank you all so much for making this project. Thank you for all of the work that you all do to accelerate acceptance for the LGBTQ community. And everyone, reminder out there, Equal, it's 4 parts. It's on HBO Max. It'll be available October 22nd. It features all of these amazing people and many more. It's narrated by Billy Porter. So be sure and check it out. Everyone, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.